Welcome to Dax Fan Zone and End Zone. No bandwagoners. I welcome all NFL fans to this channel. So please, if this is your first time watching, please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. And I got a fun show planned for you guys today. So I appreciate y'all tuning in. First orders of business. Here's today's topics. Davis Webb is a hot commodity. I talked about him a little bit on the first episode as to why I think he should be a head coach. Uh, we're gonna play a little fun game with the latest NFL coaching hires around the league. Some genius hires, some gamble hires, and I like to keep it spicy for y'all on this show. And I got a hot take, so I'm interested to see I'm curious to see what y'all have to say about my hot take. Of course, you'll have to give your thoughts in the comments. So, without further ado, Davis Webb is a hot commodity. Yes, he is. It was put out earlier. Adam Schefter, I guess, put out that the Broncos pass game coordinator and quarterbacks coach Davis Webb is interviewing today for the head coaching jobs with the Raiders and the Bills. And I guess it's the second interview with the Raiders and the first interview with the Bills. So that's going to be interesting, man. He's a hot commodity for sure. I know there's some familiarity there for Davis Webb and the Bills because 2019, 2021, he was on the practice squad mostly in his time there as a backup. And during his time, he happened to develop a close relationship with Josh Allen. This is an intriguing spot, actually, I think, for a lot of head coaching candidates as well. I would want to go coach up Josh Allen, wouldn't you, Mr. Superman? I think he's long overdue to have a head coach that is an offensive-minded type of coach, if I'm being honest. Davis Webb, though, gets a job interview with these guys. This is going to be interesting to keep an eye on. I know the Raiders was a team that I talked about on the first episode of him being a potential candidate. Maybe he's the favorite there. But what I would say is this: a lot of people are worried about the whole notion of him not calling, having any kind of responsibility of play calling. Right? He's not an OC. But what I would say is that's outdated thinking, right? I think the NFL isn't really hiring resumes anymore. This is a quarterback-driven league. Davis Webb has shown that he's capable of developing quarterbacks. Bo Nix, you look at that one. And you can hire an OC, right? I mean, you just want to be able to prove that you can be a leader. And if your quarterback believes in you, the rest of the building's going to follow. And the league is really not asking, has he called plays? No, they're asking, will his players follow him? And will he develop a quarterback, or can he make it a quarterback improve rather, right? And I feel like he could bring the best out of Josh Allen because he's innovative. He's a very well-respected offensive mind around the league, highly regarded. Obviously, he's already interviewed with the Ravens too before they named Jesse Minter as their head coach. So, no, it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I'm very excited for Davis Webb, man. I feel like he's ready to be a head coach. He's seen it with Sean Payton on a day-to-day basis. And he's seen what the standard of a winning team looks like, right? He's been within our organization. He was with the Bills. As I mentioned, that was a winning culture as well. Brian Daboll at the time was there. Josh Allen was balling out. So I like that his name is really being thrown in the hat, and these NFL teams are really taking some consideration for him. So let's get into our little game, our little topic of discussion for this show. And then I'm curious to what you guys think. I got a good one, though. I got some good ones. All righty, here we go. We got the new hires so far to this point for around the NFL. Atlanta Falcons hired Kevin Stefanski. Baltimore Ravens hired Jesse Minter. Miami Dolphins have hired Jeff Hafley. New York Giants hired John Harbaugh right out the gate. The Pittsburgh Steelers hired Mike McCarthy, and the Tennessee Titans hired Robert Saleh. So there's 6 names there, and it's kind of crazy. I really didn't mean for it to happen, but it's evenly 3 gambles, 3 genius hires that I have labeled. But the first one that I want to get into, because I'm gonna save a certain coach for the end. But the first one I do want to talk about. Okay, here we go. John Harbaugh is a CEO type of coach. Um, I really like this hire for the Giants. I mean, man, it's been quite a while. I think since the Eli Manning days, right? That they've really been anything. I like Jackson Dart. I like Cam Scatterbo. I like a lot of the players within that locker room that they have in the organization. They got some really solid building blocks to really develop, right? But when it comes to John Harbaugh, he's a CEO type of coach, right? He hires coordinators and he lets them run their own side, right? Runs their side of the field, offense, defense, special teams, even though he came up through the ranks as a special teams coordinator. But one thing that I do really like about John Harbaugh is he's a strong leader. Um, he's he's develops players. He adapts over time. Some of his weaknesses, I know, the playoff results really don't match the talent, right, that he has. He hasn't really had quite the success, I think, um, in terms of the postseason. He won a Super Bowl though with the Ravens. Joe Flacco and Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis rather going out into the sunset, hoisting the Lombardi. Uh, but I would say this: he's heavily reliant on coordinators. But one thing I would say is this: it's a genius hire, and you don't win in this league without an adult in the room. So credit to the Giants, man. I mean, they mutually decided to part ways. John Harbaugh, I knew he wasn't going to be on the market very long. So that was my genius hire. I got another one. Should I talk Jesse Minter or should I talk Jeff Hafley? Let's talk about Jeff Minter real quick. Now former Chargers defensive coordinator. Now he's the head coach in Baltimore, right? I think this is a genius hire. His strengths, culture fit. He has familiarity there with the Ravens organization, right? Being that he was a DC or defensive assistant, I think from 2019 to 2022. Don't quote me on the exact date. I'm just guessing right now. I had the dates pulled up earlier. But culture fit, right? Modern defensive edge disguises simulated pressure, late rotations. Quarterbacks hate it. One thing I would say about this guy is he's a game plan merchant. He doesn't need to rely on having an all pro or like 5 all pros on his team, right, to really be a legitimate defensive coordinator. It's proven there in with the Chargers recently. He maximizes roster value. So this is a genius type of hire in my opinion. I think one thing for sure, I think a weakness here is can you get the right OC to match up with him? Now I know the Ravens have taken a look around the league and are like, well, maybe Cliff Kingsbury would be a good fit. Maybe who's another one that I'm thinking? Is it Clint Kubiak? I think is another name that comes to mind. There's names out there that the Ravens have interviewed that maybe want to come along for the ride and join Jesse Minter, but I really like this hire for them. So yeah, he's a great leader, strong defensive mind all across the board. Yeah, that's where I feel with him. So on to the next coach, on to the next one, on to the next one. Here's one that I like. Okay, well, here's one that I really don't like. Excuse me. And it's man, this is tough because it's really not really Jeff Hafley's fault, right? He's a good coach, but I labeled this as a gamble. He was a defensive coordinator for the Packers. Strong defensive coach, great with DBs, brings discipline and structure. His weakness, of course, people would mention limited head coach experience, right? Not an offensive guy. Um, I think the biggest issue with this hire that I labeled it a gamble is the Miami Dolphins currently with their roster construction. They don't have the personnel, right? To really match. So I feel like he's a good coach, but bottom line, good coach, wrong fit. This is a gamble. And maybe he brings in an OC that can really help him on that side of the ball as well. So it'll be interesting with that pairing. Now, here is another one that I have for y'all. And this happened over the weekend, right? But give me 1 second, and I'll pull it up for you. Here's one that I got for you, Mike McCarthy. If you guys don't know already, right? Like, if you don't tell the terrible hire, Mike McCarthy is a gamble. It has gamble written all over it. Former Cowboys and Packers head coach. Now, let me tell you this. Fans weren't necessarily or not exactly celebrating the Mike McCarthy hire all over the Twitter timeline when I was looking at it. I thought a lot of fans were displeased with this particular hire. I was myself, and I'm not even a Steelers fan, right? Matter of fact, grab the terrible towers that say terrible hire. Like this is rough. Let's be real here. His offense feels stuck in the past. It's predictable. It's slow to adjust, and it caps your ceiling. Really, like he's not really innovative, in my opinion. This coaching hire screams mediocrity at its finest. And in today's NFL, mediocre is the fastest way to get left behind. I'm being honest. Like this man, he's capable of winning some regular season games, right? Like he'll get some wins in there. But there's not much of a ceiling for this, and I feel like when like Mike Tomlin being out the door, you kind of wanted somebody maybe that had a little more upside, a higher ceiling. I feel like you didn't get that with this hire. Very disappointing. It is a gamble. I feel like it is a gamble, and maybe you guys agree with me, but like I know Jerry Jones though in Dallas was very of course you know how he is as an owner. He's very hands-on, more than you would like. But even in Green Bay, despite winning that Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, like what has Mike McCarthy really done? So as a Broncos fan, this kind of reminds me of like a John Fox type of hire. Like it's safe, right? But it doesn't raise the ceiling at all, at all. So that's where I feel with this hiring. So the next one that I do want to talk about, and I'll pull it up here, is Robert Saleh. This is a genius hire. Genius hire. I was really actually excited when I heard the news that he got this position, and made sense because I was looking at that defense. They have Jeffrey Simmons, Devondre Tillman, Harold Landry. They got dogs on that defense, right? And well, let me just say this though. For anyone saying it didn't work out in New York, the Jets are just dysfunctional. Let's call it what it is. They were dysfunctional even before he got there, right? Like let's be honest. But the only thing here during this time in New York with the Jets was like there was no quarterback stability. He didn't get the offensive coordinator right. Nathaniel Hackett, really? I mean, I'm very familiar with Nathaniel Hackett in his time with the Broncos. So I think that's not really coaching though. It's organizational failure. Just the way I'm looking at the organization, the owner over there, it's just dysfunctional. You go back now and you look at the season that they just had with Aaron Glenn, and it was abysmal. They had the second worst record in the NFL. So it continues even with Saleh not there. So, but let me say this: an elite defensive mind, culture builder. The players gravitate to him. He has energy. Front seven development. I just talked about Jeffrey Simmons, Devondre Tillman, Harold Landry. Like this defense could be something. And Oh, by the way, if you get the offensive coordinator right, you got the quarterback in place in Cam Ward, who I think could be something if you do get the right man for the job to help bring along Cam Ward, special talent. I think offense dependent is one thing like I just talked about when it comes to the OC game management. At times, you look at the Jets, clock management was a big iffy for me watching him. But he has that like CEO aura about him, so I like this. The defensive floor instantly rises. Just pair him with the right offensive brain. So this is a genius hire. Okay, so I've gone through Mike McCarthy. I've gone through John Harbaugh. I've gone through Jeff Hafley. I've gone through Jesse Minter. So, but I've gone through John. Yeah, so I got one more for you guys. I got one more for y'all. One more for y'all. I mean, this has been a pretty fun episode. I really liked doing this for you, but before I get into it, I have to do my hot take. And here we go. Here is my hot take. I like to keep it spicy, and maybe the Falcons fans may agree, maybe they won't. But my hot take is Coach Kevin Stefanski is an overrated head coach in the NFL. I feel like he didn't really do a good job of dealing with the whole Shador Sanders dilemma or deal. That situation, he didn't do a great job as well. I mean, you could take a look at the quarterback situation ever since Baker Mayfield left. It's been dysfunctional at that position, right? Strengths that I have mapped out: scheme, play design, run game, like those are all solid, right? Weaknesses: making adjustments, consistency, and this is another safe hire for Atlanta. One thing I'll talk about is yes, he has a strong run game. He does play action, but when things aren't quite like if he doesn't have the personnel, you kind of see the dip with him, right? Like you saw with the Browns, it just was dysfunction all the way around especially after Baker Mayfield left. He never was really able to quite pick up the pieces there. So this is a safe hire, but I just feel like he's so overrated. Rigid play calling, slowing game adjustments, conservative in big moments for sure. And like I said, he struggles elevating quarterbacks outside his system. If I'm being honest, I just don't really. It just kind of leaves that blah in my mouth with this hire. And I mean, he has had some success, right? Like he's a longtime Vikings coach type of guy. He was an OC before he became the Browns head coach, right? He's won Coach of the Year, I think, a couple times. But it doesn't do it for me. I just feel like, but one thing he can do is he'll keep the locker room stable. He can win consistently in the regular season, but not really because you didn't see much of any winning in Cleveland. So I don't know. I guess this is not an elite hire for me. This is a gamble. I think it really relies upon who his quarterback is, or if he could develop Michael Penix Jr., who just dealt with an injury. I mean, he has some pieces on that offensive side, though. That could be something, right? You got Bijan Robinson, Drake London. I think Kyle Pitts is a free agent. I got to double check that. But this is my hot take. I just feel like he's an overrated coach. I could be wrong. But good luck to him in Atlanta. It'll be interesting. I knew he would get a job shortly after getting fired from Cleveland. So that's my show for today. Those are my topics. I'm going to do another episode kind of talking about the postseason, especially the AFC NFC championship matchups. And I'm going to tie in a fun show for those particular matchups too. So shout out to the Patriots and the Seahawks for advancing to the Super Bowl. It's going to be good. Sam Darnold did his thing. He stepped up in the big moments like I thought he would. Drake May in a blizzard utilized his mobility to get him to the promised land, right? I mean, so like I said, that's a topic for another day. But I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And my NFL takes are delivered. End zone reached. I'm Dak. This is Dak's Fan Zone and End Zone. Mile high salute to all y'all. And have a good day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Have a good one.